So breakfast is one of the most important meals for you. And it's called breakfast because when you sleep, you're sleeping maybe 8, 9, 10 hours. And probably when you're sleeping, that's the longest stretch for people, a lot of people, that they're not eating. They're spending 8, 9, 10 hours when they're not eating, and their body is recovering. And that sleep is important because it helps you reset your body. Your brain gets to reset. It's like a reset button for your brain for the next day. So when you wake up, it's important to fuel your body with the right food, just like after a fast. After a fast, you want to nourish your body with the right foods and replenish your body, right? Usually, after a fast, you don't want to also take solid food. You're not going to jump into protein for sure, but you're going to maybe start with something that's more watery, liquid, but nutritious, like a soup, because it's easier for your body to actually absorb and process and digest into your system. So right now, when we're looking at breakfast, this is now my personal breakfast. One of my some of my staples. I'm going to share with you some of my staples. So this would be a staple of mine. Eggs. That's a staple. For me, that's like one of the most important staples because with eggs, you get protein, and that's a good base for your breakfast when you're breaking your fast, like especially if you're not fasting. And even if after fasting, this is probably a good source of protein. If you're to eat some protein after a fast, probably eggs, because they're not like that hard protein like beef and even not like chicken. So it's easier for your body to digest this and process this protein first thing in the morning when you're waking up. So it's easy on your digestion. So I like to add some veggies as well. So kind of like omelet, not necessarily omelet because I don't always add cheese. Sometimes I do. If I'm bulking, I'll add cheese. But this would be one of the foundations. It's like eggs. That's it. I'm gonna eat eggs and add some spinach. So in this case, is spinach. There is onion. There is mushroom, and that's usually about 3, 4 eggs in the morning. 3 to 4 eggs. So I'll make this, and that'll be like the breakfast. And so like this is a meal that I've had. Excuse me. I've had since the beginning, right? Beginning of time. So same meal. This one has egg whites. So same idea. So spinach, mushroom, and egg whites. There's probably like one egg. I can't remember exactly for this meal, but definitely there's a lot of egg whites because you can tell the difference in color. So I would also add some egg whites, maybe like, let's say, for example, if I would add one egg, and then I would also add like maybe a cup of egg whites. And so this would be like another meal. So depending on how much protein I'm trying to get in a day, and depending on the type of diet that I'm following at the time, and not necessarily diet, but the food that I'm eating at the time. So this is what it would look like for my protein in the morning. And then the same thing I'll do is I would add oatmeal, right? In this case, I'm actually eating oatmeal with the eggs. So this would be the same meal, oatmeal with the eggs, and then even like avocado. So I have like an avocado, right, with the eggs. So that's like now a healthy source of protein. And I also have some fat. So with the avocado. So this meal, typically some people will say, oh, yeah, I eat healthy, but I'm not losing weight. Avocados have quite a bit of fat. So they're actually under a fat the fat food group. So it's important to recognize like some foods, they seem like they're healthy, but they also have a ton of calories because they're part of the fats. So for this, you will definitely put on some weight, and fat will build if you're also not working out and using that energy for something, especially if you're sitting and working somewhere where you have to sit all day. So it's important to always realize that, okay, if I'm sitting all day and I'm eating a ton of avocados, I'm eating maybe oatmeal. Oatmeal is more carbs. So this would be like the carbohydrates, right? Like the oatmeal. So if you're eating a ton of carbohydrates and you're eating maybe your avocado. So in this case, depending on your day, you might say, okay, so if I'm eating this, if you're tracking, let's say, for example, this could be like easy 1000 calories, or it could be like 700, 800. So depending on how much you should eat in a day, if you know what the goal is for your calories in a day, then that means maybe your other meals throughout the day are not going to be as big or as heavy. So maybe you might just have some fruits, or maybe you might have more veggies in your meals and another protein, maybe some chicken with some veggies, or some beef, some steak with some veggies. So it all depends on your goals and what your day looks like. So you want to figure out, like, okay, if I'm eating this meal and I'm going to work, I'm going to start working because, let's say, for example, if you're eating and you eat this meal, it's heavy on the carbs and the fats in the morning. And I know that, okay, I'm going to start doing my work and I want to have the most energy in the morning. Then I'm timing my meals so that I use that energy for something that I'm looking forward to. But then if I have something extra that I have to do, like let's say if I have like a workout that I have to do later on, or have to go somewhere and I have to be physical, then it means that maybe I might not eat the avocado now, but maybe I might eat it a bit later, like midday, because it'll give me some energy that I can sustain for a bit longer. So you see how this kind of starts playing into effect depending on what your day looks like. So you have to really think about this, because some people not have energy halfway through the day and say, okay, maybe I'll drink coffee and that will help them sustain themselves. But you're now depending on the wrong energy source, because at one point you might feel hungry and you might just have this craving because you're exhausting your body, but you finished all your food, all the energy that you digested, you've already used it on something else. So that's important to always take into account. It's like, what's your level of activity? And what time do you have those activities throughout the day? So, what meals are you eating at what time of the day? So, breakfast, again, if you're not doing anything in the morning, but you have something later on in the day when you actually need to use the energy, some people prefer to have their breakfast a bit later in the day. So, what people would otherwise call lunchtime, some people might just call that their breakfast. It's still breakfast because you're still breaking your fast at that time, but it's still a breakfast. It's your first meal after a period of fasting. So you're breaking your fast. And yeah, so this would be like a meal, a breakfast meal.